lined up for you. I'm your host, Kim Jacobs, better known as the Balance Doctor. And all of our guests that come on, they're either people that have overcome some tremendous odds in their own lives as they balance this thing called life, or they're experts and they're here to share tips and strategies that will help you better balance and manage your life. Grab your virtual seats and let's get ready for some real relevant and relatable content on today's episode of The Kim Jacobs Show. Hello, everyone. We have a great episode lined up for you today here on the Kim Jacobs Show. I am super excited to be here with you today. And the topic is going to be one of how it is important to advocate for our own health. And we have with us today Wenora. Wenora is going to be talking to us, and she's already in the studio, ready to go. And I think she's just a real day modern hero. I don't know her personally, but I'm excited to get to know her and her journey. Everyone that you know, go ahead and invite them to be a part of the virtual studio audience today, and let them know that we're going to be talking about how important it is to advocate for your own health. What are some of the steps to do that? How do you even know where to begin? We're going to be talking about that with today's episode guest, Wenora. Let me know, Wenora, are you ready to come on in? All right. She is, yes, clapping her hands and ready.
I'm ready.
How are you, Wenora?
I am well, Kim, and thank you. It's such an honor and privilege to be here for you to allow me to share my personal story and journey surrounding cancer, and understanding that for some families, family secrets kill. So I believe it's important that we give back to our communities when we're in a position to do so. And we can do this in the form of educating and providing the truth about various subject matters.
I'm glad that you're saying that some secrets can kill, and they don't even need to kill because people need to be on one accord regarding this information. Wenora, you're a mother, you're a grandmother, wife, colleague, friend to many. You love mentoring and sharing valuable knowledge. And the knowledge that you're going to share today helps us all keep a healthier balance and just being able to have love and happiness. So I'm excited about every aspect of your life. You are a cancer survivor 3 times over, and I don't want to go into deep details. I want you to share your backstory. Volunteer research patient advocate and a Navy veteran. This woman is a force to be reckoned with, and she's here to share her story today here on the Kim Jacobs Show. So welcome, Wenora, here to the show.
Thank you again. And if I could go back a little bit to where we talked a little bit about those family secrets that kill.
Yes, so please.
You mentioned the perfect thing of my name. My name is Wenora. And the funny part about it, it was an accidental name. It was actually supposed to be Winona, which is Native American for firstborn. Now, mind you, it's so funny because most of our parents have probably told us at one time, oh yeah, you got Native American in you, blah, 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 the whole bit. And actually after doing DNA testing, finding out that had probably 0% Native American, but about 20% Irish, and then the other 80% African.
Okay.
And so while this is interesting, what my mother should have told me, though, is that your grandfather passed away from colorectal cancer, and that maybe this is something inherited and that you should be checked out. So instead of spreading family secrets that really weren't true at the end of the day, you really want to focus on what the truth is. And this is why I appreciate you giving me the opportunity to tell that truth on this platform, and hope at the end of the day that the information and knowledge that I share with someone will save your life, or at least wake you up to the opportunities to be a better patient, an advocate for yourself.
Wow. Now, as you said, your grandfather, he did have colorectal cancer, but it wasn't something that you were privy to, even knowing. More so nationalities is what was being discussed. I'm going to be Indian, or I got some part this, or Irish, or different things. And that's important too. But is way important to know somebody that is in your lineage has cancer
Has
and they
cancer.
passed away from it. When we come back from this commercial break, everybody, we're going to hear more about Wenora and whether you were sideswiped with some of the other diagnoses or whether it was something that you were knowledgeable about. So I'd like to learn more about your backstory when we come right back after this break. We'll be right back.
I'm attorney Charles Everidge. I started out representing insurance companies until my father was seriously injured at work. 4 of his fingers were amputated. Our family went through a lot, so I know what you're going through as an injured worker. If you've been hurt on the job, call me now. I'll fight to get the workers' comp benefits you may deserve. I'll fight for you like family. Put my experience to work for you. Call 704-457-5000, the first call for injured workers.
We're here talking with Wenora Johnson today, and she is a 3-time cancer survivor. So anybody that you know that's battling cancer or kicking it in the head, make sure you tag them today and invite them to hear this particular broadcast. Wenora, take us back. I know you said you found out. How did you find out about your grandfather? Who finally revealed it to you?
Actually, it was my aunt who told me. And the reason that I found this out was because in 2011, after what should have been just a regular visit to my doctor for a regular physico, he asked me to do something else a little bit different. He asked me to take a fit test. And this fit test today is kind of known nationwide as kind of like Cologuard. And we all seen those commercials, but about 11, 12 years ago, they weren't so obvious. Mm-hmm. And so after taking that test, it led to a colonoscopy that then led to surgery, and then waking up from surgery and being told that I had stage 3B colorectal cancer. And it was at that point that I received a phone call from my aunt who told me, she says, "Oh yeah, by the way, your grandfather passed away from colorectal cancer at the age of 38. And I guess all I could say was, wow.
38 years old?
38 years of age, he passed away from colorectal cancer. So that knowledge probably would have been helpful for me to get a colonoscopy in reality at the age of 30, because I was 45 at the time. And according to my doctor, I had colorectal cancer sitting in my body for 15 years.
Oh my goodness. And never had any inkling. You were just living your life.
Never had a clue. Colorectal cancer is one of the deadliest cancers there are because it's usually not even found until its late stage. We go about our regular lives, just as you mentioned, thinking that we're healthy. And I thought I was healthy. I had just finished coming out, serving 8 years in the military in 2011.
And they didn't catch anything in your testing in the military?
Nothing was done. And I guess that's where I was just a little bit disappointed there, because I'm thinking that maybe if blood work would have shown that I'd had something, that maybe I could have caught it even sooner. But unfortunately, it wasn't caught then. And all I can say is I'm just really glad that I had a really proactive healthcare team who suspected that there might be something there. And if I didn't have that, and this is why I tell people to advocate for themselves, to speak up, to ask questions, I probably wouldn't be here talking to you today.
And especially at this stage 3B means, tell us what stage 3B means and what that means for your life.
Stage 3B meant that I would have to go through 6 months of extensive chemotherapy, which we all know is crappy stuff. You lose your hair. I lost eyebrows. I lost toenails. I lost fingernails, some of them, and general sense of unwell when you're going through chemo. And so, if I could prevent one person from having to go through this by just, speaking up to their doctors and getting the tests recommended for their age or so, then to me, I've done my job.
You've done an excellent job if that happens and when that happens. According to the American Cancer Society, I see that it says that it's the third most common cancer diagnosed in both men and women in the United States. And I know there's streams in other countries too, but in the United States is literally the third most common cancer diagnosis. And usually, according to United States for 2023 stats, it's 106,970 new cases of colon cancer, 46 of those thousands being rectal cancer.
Now, Kim, let me tell you what's significant about this. I love the fact that we're more up to date about getting treatment and getting colonoscopy for those under 50. In fact, I was part of the initiative to go on Capitol Hill so that we can change 50 to 45 for colonoscopies to be done.
Yeah.
But you know what they're finding now?
What?
They're finding that it's early onset colorectal cancer that's killing individuals now. So that means anyone under the age of 40 is more susceptible to getting colorectal cancer than someone over the age of 50 now. And
that's unbelievable.
What's changed in the last 30 to 40 years that probably we didn't have much, where our environments changed a lot. Mm-hmm. We're eating more processed foods. Our health conditions, our mental state alone can make us more susceptible to cancers and various ailments. So this is very important that we go back. I go back to that, advocating for yourself as a patient. If you're not well, or you don't feel well, if you don't think something is right, then by all means, speak up and do something about it. And I have to admit, I was pretty bad about this myself, because even when I got cancer, I wanted to be the matriarchal mom and say, right, worry about it. I got it. I'm not going to tell my kids about what I'm going through. And actually, that I was doing them a disservice. I needed to tell them the truth that, you know what? This is a genetic disease that we have that runs in our family.
So you told the family that you started sharing that with the family?
I started sharing that with them because it wasn't until I got involved with my patient advocacy that I realized I was doing them a disservice by not sharing that information with them, thinking that I'm trying to be the strong one, that they need to see this mom who's strong and caring and can do everything.
Yeah, because sometimes when you do share things like this information, some people in families are like, I know I can only speak personally, but like, because I have children that fight cystic fibrosis, we want to know who has cystic fibrosis, because in order for 3 of my children to have this, somebody in my upline, in my lineage, has it on my side, and somebody on their father's side has it. It's just, it is what it is. But I know when I reached out to one of my family members, it was actually my dad. He was like, you need to check with Frank. That ain't come from me. That ain't come from my, I'm like, huh? It's not that kind of situation. We need to know as a family. So how did your family receive this information when you shared it?
I think just after they were over the initial shock of understanding that their mom had cancer. She had a late stage cancer and that she might not be here. They really kind of rallied around the work that I've started doing. Again, my first initiative was to get involved with an organization called Fight CRC that helped me understand colorectal cancer more and the fight that was needed to change the guidelines around getting tested, which happened. But during that time frame, and this was in 2016, I had, again, I'm going to say it contributes to having a great healthcare team. My oncologist suspected that I might be Lynch syndrome. And I was telling her, like, what is Lynch syndrome and what does that have to really do with me?
What does it have to do with what you're experiencing right now?
Well, at that point, actually, after chemotherapy and treatment, I had 4 years of no evidence of disease. And so I thought I was home free. I didn't think there was anything additional that was going to be going on in my body. And yet she would bug me. I would go to the oncologist every 6 months. And that last time I remember her asking me in 2016, she said, Wenora, could you just please take the genetic test. And I'm like, okay, I'll go ahead and take the genetic test. And so when I took the genetic test, it came back positive for Lynch syndrome. Now, just to give you a reference for what Lynch syndrome is, this is based off the CDC website. It's known as a hereditary non-polyposis colorectal cancer, and it can lead to additional cancers like endometrial cancer, stomach cancer, liver cancer, kidney cancer, brain cancer, and certain types of skin cancer.
Yeah.
And so when she informed me that I was indeed Lynch syndrome, and I looked at the test myself and saw that I had a 60% chance of getting endometrial cancer, I decided to do something about it. I could at that point. And so I opted for a full hysterectomy.
Okay.
Only for it to come back with stage 1 endometrial cancer.
Even outside of the hysterectomy, it still came back stage 1.
The biopsy from the hysterectomy, because they were checking to make sure that nothing was there, showed that I had stage 1A endometrial cancer.
So now how did they resolve that?
Usually with an early stage of endometrial cancer, removal of the entire uterus and a full hysterectomy, which means the cervix and everything, usually covers that. Okay. And so I was blessed because it was caught ahead of time. Again, I probably wouldn't be here speaking to you because it was pretty aggressive. I have an MSH2 mutation that is it aggressively makes certain cancers form in my body. And so for me, this again was a wake-up call that not only, again, going back to sharing with family members and letting them know about this really pushed my patient advocacy into full gear. I wanted to know that if I got more cancers, what options for treatment would there be? And this is about the time that in the last couple of years, we've probably heard things like immunotherapy and things of that nature. And so we're living in a really good time for cancer treatments, but unfortunately, Black people are still dying at a faster and higher rate than other individuals. And we need to stop that. And for me, this is my call to action. So, I served in the Navy. I did my call to duty there. Now it's a different call to duty. And that is one of patient awareness and advocacy.
Patient awareness and advocacy is an awareness and advocacy and standing up for yourself, asking the questions, doing the research. This is what Wenora is here talking about. Whether you have cancer or not, if you don't understand your own body and your own health and what it means when physicians are sharing things with you, that's their gifts and their talents, but they're educating you based on them practicing their gifts. But you have to embrace it and say, okay, now what does this all mean for me? And how quickly can I get this eradicated out of my body? And that's what Wenora did with the whole endometrial diagnosis of stage 1A. Thank God it was caught, got it under control when she's already been diagnosed with stage 3B colorectal cancer from the Cologuard. So there's a lot of conversation here that we're unpacking in today's episode of the Kim Jacobs Show. I see you, Sandy Sanders. Thank you so much for being here. And thank you so much for sharing the broadcast out as well. I see you, Vanita, as well. Thank you all. Definitely share the broadcast and grateful to have you all here. If you have any questions and you are in the studio audience and you just want to ask a question pertaining to you or a family member regarding any type of cancers, please make sure you type it in the comments section. I'll also put the link for you to come on screen if you'd like to do that as well. When we come back, Wenora, I would like, because you had 3 different types, right?
3 different types of cancers, yes.
Okay. When we come back, I want to hear about the 3rd one as well. And what was that diagnosis like and when did that happen? This has been a lot going on in your life. And
Absolutely.
Thank you for sharing your story today. We'll be right back, everybody. All right. Wow. This is nothing short of amazing that you are here today to share your story. We cannot take that for granted or lightly that God spared your life for whatever the reason for you to be able to help other people become advocates of their own health. So tell us about the third diagnosis.
Well, Kim, before I do that, let
Yes.
me just also add that too. Some of the things that really helped me through this journey were quotes. At one point, I had just bought giant quotes and put all over my wall to really encourage me to look past this moment.
Okay.
And so during that, I've developed some favorite quotes, like from a Black writer named James Baldwin. And he states that not everything that is faced can be changed, but nothing can be changed until it's faced. So for
Okay.
me,
Somebody, I know you can hear it, but definitely if you get a chance, type it down. Say that quote one more time.
not everything that is faced can be changed, but nothing can be changed until it's faced. And that's the way it was with me. Here I am facing a third cancer. And by 2016, I thought I was done. I'd had a total hysterectomy. I had that near miss of endometrial cancer. And then I had what was a little bitty tiny pimple on the side of my back. And I did things to it like we usually do. You know, you poke it, you prod it. And then finally, I said, you know what? I need to go to the dermatologist just to see what this is. And by then, I consider myself pretty knowledgeable about this thing about Lynch syndrome,
Of course.
understanding
Right.
that it could indeed be something that's related to cancer. And my dermatologist at the time didn't seem to think so. She, in fact, said that, well, you know, you have a lot of melanin, your skin is oily. I'm sure it's just a sack of oil cells. Well, when she removed what was supposed to be a sack of oil cell that was 2 inches
Mhm.
of basal cell carcinoma. So
And
for me,
what is base cell? Let's tell the audience. What is
basal cell carcinoma, it is a skin cancer. And while it is not one of the deadliest skin cancers, it
right?
can sit in your body long enough to eventually become a deadly form of cancer. So
This is
it's something that we
crazy.
have to, you know, still think about. And here I am thinking as a Black person, I'm like, I don't even get in the sun. You know, I'm not in the sun. How do I get skin cancer?
And according to the skinscancer.org, it says that 3.6 million, approximately 3.6 million cases are diagnosed every year of this basal cell carcinoma. And who know, I didn't know this stuff, to just know that it can be something on your skin. They take it and biopsy it, and it can be one of 3.6 million people that you get diagnosed with basal cell carcinoma.
Absolutely. Absolutely, Kim.
Unbelievable.
And thank you so much for sharing those statistics, because I'm so involved with trying to get as much of my story as I can out and not miss any of the details, because I want someone to wake up from whatever, you know, they're hiding from, to really take charge of their health.
Hmm.
And so for me, this is just how, when I say getting a genetic test is important, is
Right.
because just this year, again, I have a colonoscopy every year because of Lynch syndrome.
Okay.
I've had precancerous polyps removed again.
Hmm.
And so that pushes me back to having a colonoscopy every 6 months.
Hmm.
And then I've had surgery on my face for, again, precancerous skin lesions. So for me, at one point, I kind of thought, you know, feeling sorry for myself, like I go under this stringent, regular surveillance of taking care of my health.
Right.
It wasn't until a doctor pointed out to me, he says, Wenora, he says, I'm actually jealous because you're under regular surveillance more than anyone else is. And usually by the time someone else's cancer is caught, it's a late stage cancer.
And
So
nothing can be done about it to help them
nothing
stay
can
on
be
this
done.
earth.
So I have to be thankful again for that. Sometimes you need those little pushes and nudges to make you understand that you're probably a lot more luckier than you realize. And then
Yes.
if I could, Kim, if I could reach back to the Lynch syndrome thing in regards to my family, you see, my grandfather passed away again from colorectal cancer at
Yes.
age 38. My mother passed away from brain cancer at the age of 42. So
No.
I should have known maybe by then, but I am a well-informed person now that understanding your history is so important. So if I can encourage people with nothing else, you have to make sure you know your family history. Get genetically tested. It's not a hard test. It's just a regular blood draw from your physician. Speak up for yourself. Find out if there's anything that's hiding or waiting. And Kim, while we're
But
on the
but let
line,
me ask, I have a question. As far as the genetic testing is concerned, how do you know what type of genetic testing to even get tested for from your recommendation? Because yours obviously is cancer related, but
mhm.
not everyone that would go and get a genetic test. Do you just say do the full panel? What do you recommend as an advocate?
Well, this is what I recommend as an advocate, a patient advocate, is to talk to your physician. Talk to your physician about your concerns that you may have. If anyone in your family does have cancer, if they don't have cancer, they can probably recommend to you what kind of panel, full panel, half panel, or however genetic testing that you would need. So each patient, each person is different. But the one thing that I can do is just encourage you. If there's a family history of something in your family, then you might just want to be tested. And start with your regular primary care physician. They can assist you with that decision.
That's really good. Okay, you were going to say something. Go ahead. What were you going to
I
say?
was. I'm excited here today to also tell you that through this journey of mine as patient advocacy work, I started off, of course, when I mentioned the getting involved on the congressional side with getting the guidelines changed to
Yes.
45 for
Yes.
colonoscopies. And then that trajectory of mine changed a little bit to genetic testing. So I'm a big component now for genetic testing.
Mm.
And lately, it's even to change a little bit more because of my Lynch syndrome. I've moved more toward clinical trials. And do you know that less than 4% of people of color are patients for clinical trials? And yet, again, we're the ones who are dying the most from various cancers.
How do you recommend people get involved with clinical trials? Because sometimes when I have guests on like yourself, then I hear about the clinical trials. But how do you determine, ooh, me to sign up for a clinical trial if you're an African American individual watching this broadcast?
Well, you know, the thing of it is, and we've got so much baggage as people of color. We've got the Henrietta Lacks um, uh, story. And then we've also got the Tuskegee experience. And these have been going on for 70 plus years that people have been carrying it. They're not going to experiment on me. But you know what? It's other people out there getting the best forms of treatment. And the treatments are working for them
Mm.
because it's made for that particular ethnic group. If we're not involved, we can't expect to have our lives extended
That's true.
for any of these. And so when I say that, I realize not only if I'm going to be a patient advocate on this, that I talk the talk, but I also walk the
Good.
walk. And so just recently, I found out that there was a clinical trials at Northwestern Hospital for Lynch syndrome vaccine.
Okay.
And so while I know you may not have realized it yesterday when we were texting back and forth, I was actually at the hospital getting my first vaccine trial for Lynch syndrome.
Wow.
And so I'm excited because it's personal for me.
Okay.
And if I can save, one person from going through this, it's funny. My daughter told me, she says, Mom, you're out trying to save the world. And I'm thinking, no, in reality, I just want to save my closest family members from having to go through what I did as with cancer. And yet, if I do save someone, then I'm all forward. I am all forward. If I could share with you, because I don't know if you could see it or not or so, but this is a text message that I keep on my phone from my brother on
Okay.
the very bottom here.
Yeah, I can't see it, but I'm gonna
You
put you
probably
front and
can't
center and
see it.
see it.
It's probably kind of hard to see, but it's a text message that I've had from my brother. Um,
Let's put you
and
front and center and see. There we go. Wait.
if you can see it. So it's a text message from my brother that I had. It was the last one was dated August 9th, 2022.
Mm-hmm.
53 days later, he passed away from metastatic colorectal cancer.
Oh, good.
So if I can help someone, then that's what I want to do, is just help someone by getting that story out. Get tested, get genetically tested if you can. Don't be
Had
afraid
he
of.
been genetically tested?
He had not been genetically tested, but I can rest assured by the time they had found his late stage colorectal cancer, that I'm sure it was indeed through Lynch syndrome. And this is why it's important for my family. So I'm sure he would be proud today knowing that I am one of the first persons at Northwestern to take this vaccine for clinical trials. And I'll let you know how that goes.
Please let us know how it goes.
I am
I want people to know how to stay connected with you. I know we're going to still be talking for another 30 minutes or so here, but I just want to give people an opportunity to know how to stay connected with you right away. Please tell them if you will.
Sure. If you want to stay connected to me, I'm on Instagram. I'm on Facebook, Wenora Johnson, if you'd like to find me. I'm on LinkedIn under Wenora Johnson. Please reach out. If you have questions, concerns, I would be glad to help you. And what I don't know, I will make sure that I find an organization or someone that can assist you with getting the information that you need to help save yourself or possibly someone that you love.
Wow. Yeah, listen, the information this woman is sharing with Nora, she's willing to help you become an advocate for yourself. So it's not only about her story and her family, her mom, her dad, her brother, all passing of some form of cancer. Her being diagnosed, she personally being diagnosed with three different types of cancer and on the battlefield. She's on the battlefield trying to educate the community about how important it is to advocate for ourselves. And so I've learned some significant things that I'm going to do differently just by hearing your story today already. What else did you want to share already before we take a break? And when we come back from the break, I really wanted to talk about you saying that cancer is a human experience. So I want to take that angle and talk about it more when we come back. But let's hear some of the closing things that you want to say from the first half.
Oh, absolutely. I think it goes back again to making sure that we understand that what family members, what diseases that we have in our family, what runs in our family, and how we can just be a better patient advocate for ourselves. And if I can provide a quick definition of what a patient advocate is,
Yes, please.
a patient advocate helps other patients, or they can help their loved ones navigate the healthcare system, communicate with doctors, find legal help, work with insurance companies, setting up tests and screenings. So this is what a patient advocate does. And so if you don't know a patient advocate personally, there are organizations out there that can put you in touch with a patient advocate or even a nurse navigator. They're really trying to come up with better ways to help patients help themselves. And that's what we should really be here to today and further discuss about patients helping themselves.
So there are patients, and we know that there are patients that are elderly. And I know I can only speak personally. Whenever I'm dealing with some things, I'm like, now, if this was somebody in their 70s or 80s, they would be having the worst time trying to figure out how to maneuver through some of the stuff. And depending upon the attitudes that you meet on the other side, it can be it can be pretty interesting and intense. For me, I know how to diffuse a situation. So I'm like, oh, well, thank you so much for your service. I really appreciate what you're doing. Thank you for your kindness. Thank you for your help. I know this, but some of the elderly people would be like, look here, I don't know what you're talking about, but I need some help. And you want to do what? And there's a lot of nuances. How do you recommend people deal with trying to advocate for themselves, but some of them are seniors? Do they need a younger advocate to work on their behalf? Give us some thoughts.
Well, you know what? In my patient advocacy journey, that has been a huge question. And so I've been involved in some roundtable discussions about how exactly we can do that. And one of the things that's come out of that is to create those nurse navigators and patient navigators in the system where the patient goes to visit on a regular basis, that, once they're done with that 15-minute appointment, that they then can go to this person and say, hey, all of that just went over my head, what my doctor told me. Can you further explain and break down that to me? Now, the issue with having either a nurse navigator or a patient navigator in that field is insurance costs.
Yes.
Looking to see how insurance would pick up the cost for some kind of association with that. So we're still working on how we can implement that. Mm-hmm. But let me share with you, and I love my oncologist department to death, but I've been going to them for 12 years now on a regular basis. Mm-hmm. It was just a couple of years ago that I found out that there was a nurse navigator there. And I'm going, why isn't this something that I should have known 11 years ago when I started coming?
That's interesting.
So this is why, if I can be here, as a little bit of a navigator for something, ask that question. Ask that question to your doctor. Is there a nurse navigator or a patient navigator or somebody here that can assist me when you're done with this appointment today? And be adamant about it.
Who would know to ask that until you're coming on the show today? So
who would know to ask that? I never knew to ask that. I would walk away from my appointments like, today was a good day. Didn't have anything extra, but I did have a couple of questions, but I'll just get it next time. How nice would it have been to talk to someone right then and there about those issues and concerns that I was having and put them off because I didn't feel like I had someone to talk to or help me through them.
I am really glad that you're here today sharing this level of detail with us to get better in life. I see you, Deron Swan. He said nurse navigators, and thanks so much for sharing. And these people are commenting heavily over here, thanking you for your contribution to today's episode. Listen, we're going to take a commercial break and come back and learn more about how cancer is a human experience, and we're going to understand that philosophy from Wenora right when we return. We'll be right back.
Who are those people? The guys playing golf in the middle of the day on a Tuesday. The woman wearing $1,000 shoes at a cafe in the city. The kid in the ripped jeans driving a $200,000 sports car. What do they know that you don't? One word: leverage. Working smarter, not harder. Owning their own business, not being owned by a job. The good news? We have it. Interested?
So we are back and we're talking with Wenora Johnson, 3-time cancer survivor, still on this earth to share her story and her testimony, but most importantly, to be an advocate for all of us that are tuning in, how we can get better at understanding our rights. And that's so important. So talk to us about cancer being a human experience. What's your philosophy on that?
Oh, when I think of the human experience of it, it goes back to that conversation we had a little bit earlier about we as people trying to be the strong matriarch of our family. Yeah. And really just being open and honest and letting people help what they can. And if you think about it, sometimes it's hard if you've got a family member or someone who's been diagnosed with cancer. How can you help? Well, there's a couple of things. You can give them the space to process their emotions, because when a person's been diagnosed or newly diagnosed, they just need that moment to figure this out. Am I going to live? Am I going to die? How do I take care of my family? Give them that moment to do that. And then offer just specific practical help. And that specific practical help can just be, let me drive you to your oncology visits. I had a really good friend who was just supportive in doing that. I had to sit for 8 hours in an infusion chair But through those days when I had to go, she would take me, she would sit there for 8 hours with me, and then would proceed to go take me to try to get something to eat. And that, I mean, that it may not have meant a lot maybe to some people, but for me, that meant a whole lot. So something just as simple as taking someone to an appointment or just picking up the phone and saying, "Hey, how are you doing? Can I bring you something?" And then just celebrating those joys, the big and the small, like, I made it through chemo treatment, just celebrating, making it through those moments. And the biggest one I'm going to say here, Kim, is connecting people to resources. So you yourself may not know about a lot of resources, but you may know someone who does have a lot of resources and connections. Like I said at the beginning of the show too, that what I can't provide for you here, I'm willing to look up to make sure that you're connected to the right organizations who can help you with the needs that you may have.
That's excellent, excellent advice. And I typed a lot of what you said. Take the person to their appointments, celebrating their moments, connecting people to resources, just checking on them and making sure that you help them in any way that they really need to be helped. So this is, again, Wenora Johnson, 3-time cancer survivor, and she has been diagnosed with things that were hereditary, right, within her family, but she was not aware that her family members even had some of these things. So talking amongst the family, getting genetic testing, everything that you're sharing today is going to change the lives of all of our viewers, because I know I'm going to get some testing and talk about some things with my family. Now, I know congressionally, you've been participated in DOD's congressionally directed medical research programs, as well as FORCE, which is facing our risk of cancer empowered, a nonprofit organization. So talk about some of the things that you've been on a mission to accomplish as a result of what you've experienced.
Can I say it's been a lot. It's
a whole lot.
It's been exciting at the same time, because none of these doors, remember that quote that I mentioned about James Baldwin, that nothing can be faced at that time. So I'm facing the consequences of that, and they've been good. I've been able to be in touch with organizations who feel so strongly about and passionate about what I do, that I, started out as a peer navigator for FORCE. So Facing Our Risk of Cancer Empowered. They were basically more centered on hereditary cancer, but for like BRCA mutations, ovarian cancer, things of that nature, not Lynch syndrome yet. And so I used to just follow them around and ask them, like, can I come to one of your conferences for free? And they were like, nah, we're not quite doing that yet. You can't do that yet. And so I did this for a couple of years. And this is the power of persistence. And after about that third time or so, I got an email that said, hey, we're totally changing the trajectory of our organization and would like to include Lynch syndrome. And so would you be interested in being a research advocate and a peer navigator? Good. Now, this organization, FORCE, Facing Our Risk of Cancer Empowered, as a peer navigator, I would talk to other individuals who'd also been diagnosed with Lynch syndrome, helping them through and giving them suggestions, or sometimes, believe it or not, just listening to their story is all that they want, someone to listen to them. And so it led to that, to then them asking me to become a board member. And I was like, you want me to be a board member?
Absolutely.
And now, going into my second year, not only as a board member, but board president. And so talk about the power of persistence in making a difference. You can make a difference. And the DOD initiatives were great opportunities for me to understand that patient advocacy is making a difference, because now when scientists and researchers are getting grants from the government, they have to have a patient advocate involved in their research work. And as a grant reviewer of those, that's what I was looking for. Are you having a patient advocate in your grant? Are you heavily involved in the community regarding that? And so
Mhm.
I feel where I've been making a difference. And I love that. Like I said, this is my passion, my calling. And I hope that when I get a chance to retire in the next couple of years or so, that this is full time for me. I'm loving this. And so I've just got a recent ask by the Northwestern Hospital as well to be a keynote speaker at their oncology conference, and it's really humbling when people are asking you to share their story and to really share powerful information that could change lives. So, and that's what I want to thank you again for, Kim, because you've just allowed me to have this platform that I hope will help and reach others.
Oh, it definitely will. At least definitely reach 100 countries and 350 million households. So even from a global perspective, because the Kim Jacobs Show is global, what advice do you give people even from other countries that I know we've shared statistics in the United States, but what advice would you give to some of these countries that may not be able to even access certain things? Any suggestions?
You know what was interesting in my work in doing patient advocacy? I go to a lot of conferences that are centered around patient advocacy work.
Mhm.
And the AACR, which is the American Association for Cancer Research, is heavily involved using patient advocates. And I remember last year going to their conference and attending that conference, enjoying the information that was there. And there was this young Indian woman who came up to me and she goes, Wenora, she's like, I just heard you, speak about your experience.
Right.
And I would, can I take a picture with you? And I'm like, you just want to why do you want to take a picture with me? I'm no one famous, It's just like, I just want to take a picture with you. Well, fast forward to February of this year, she is a doctor in India and she's trying to find out why there's such huge high incidences of colorectal cancer. And so she had me speak to a group of about 50 um, physicians and scientists there in India. I think I had to get up, it was like 6:30 in the morning, but
Right.
I was excited. I mean, they wanted to listen and understand what exactly was going on. And afterwards, I don't know, they sent me this little poem. It's in Arabic or so. I can't really read it, but I just thought it was just such a nice gesture on their part because
Absolutely.
they're trying really hard to eradicate a disease that is just taking many lives, period, unnecessarily because it's just caught so late.
Yeah, the mortality rate in India, according to in many Western countries, is according to the National Institute of Health, it says 7.2 per 1,000 population in males and 5.1 per 1,000 population in women. That's a big deal too. This is
It's huge.
it's huge.
It's huge.
So
And given now culturally, think about it. We all have our, how can I say, we're very private individuals, especially
yeah,
people of color. We don't like to tell our business. We ain't sharing information.
right.
And a lot of cultures are like that. They just don't want to share. So if someone's sick or not feeling well or could possibly be dying from something, they're not sharing that information.
And why? Why is that from your perspective? Because I mean, you've been advocating for quite some time now. What is the rationale from just your own personal perspective about that?
I guess my own personal perspective, because I was guilty of this as well, is just being afraid of not being there for your family and just trying to be strong when the reality, it should be the reverse. Let family and friends and people be there for you, and you're I don't know. It's just really such a good question. But if we can stop that,
I wonder how to
it
stop
might
it because
help. How do we stop?
any mom, when you're talking about balancing life and you're trying to be mama bear and trying to protect your children, it's automatic. And I don't think it's a race issue. I just think that it's automatic that you don't want your children to feel harmed or heavy
Or
laden
in
or
harm's
burdened.
way. Absolutely, absolutely.
So how do you find that fine balance between I have to tell you this because you have to know, but
Yeah.
I also want to be mindful that this could take you significantly low at a different level.
I think that's, again, it comes to the power of educating. We really have to educate our audience, the people who we are around, and helping them to be able to disseminate this message or information to their family members, no matter what their age is, and do it in a way that doesn't make it scary for them. And so, what I hope I've done for my children is that even though I may be looking at additional cancers in my future, that I don't want them to be afraid of the word cancer. That it may be cancer today, but there's so many different treatment options, and clinical trials itself has given me an opportunity to maybe even be cancer free. So don't discount those things. So it's finding the appropriate way at the appropriate age, and that's just my thought.
Wow. Okay. A great thought, by the way, and very helpful thought. Now, there are some things I know that you have going on in life. I want to pop some of these pictures up and just sharing some of the uh, accomplishments and things. I saw that you were recognized heavily as a Woman of the Year. Let's talk about that for a second. Who recognized you in that award?
Well, you know what the funny part about this is that this is my local newspaper where I reside in the community that I live in. And the funny part about it is I saw a link that just says, "Hey, nominate a Woman of the Year." And so I thought, well, I'll just nominate myself. The worst they can do is just tell me no, right? And so the funny part about that is I didn't think anything else of it. I nominated, put my information in, and this is what I'm doing for the community that I live in. I love my community, and I want people to know what I'm doing. And it was my husband's cousin who called and said, "Hey, I see your wife is in the paper." And I'm like, "What?" So I'm running out trying to get papers because I didn't know they actually printed. And so to me, that was just a small honor because I didn't do it really to be the Woman of the Year, but to advocate in our community about there are people who are doing things in our community that are that's life-saving work,
Right.
and that you know, just one of those.
That's great. I'm glad that you were selected because your work is noteworthy. That's for sure. I see another image back here. Tell us.
Well, this image here was before I started leaning into clinical trials. I worked with this organization called Fight CRC, and I still work with them because they are solely an organization based around colorectal cancer. And we did a field trip to a lab, I want to say in Wisconsin. And I had an opportunity to see HeLa cells, and HeLa stands for Henrietta Lack cells, that are still being used today to treat various diseases. And so to me, that was just a snapshot of a picture that they used of me in a laboratory setting, being able to see those. And this year is an opportunity for me when I was in DC reviewing grants for those scientists and researchers, reviewing them to make sure that they are including the appropriate patient advocates in that work.
That's good. So you're on the front line, and every day, I know you said you're looking to eventually transition to this hopefully full time, which I'm eager for you to do that. Like I feel like I'm an agent over here. I'm like, you have to do that. You have to transition. Let's see. What is this one here?
Now, this picture here is from this year. So every year I submit to the governor for the state of Illinois and for the community that I live in for Colorectal Cancer Awareness Month. So March of every year is Colorectal Cancer Awareness Month. So again, I got the proclamation from Governor Pritzker and from the mayor from the city that I reside in. So again, just happy at those opportunities. That's a picture of me showing, holding my genetic test. And in the dark red there, you can see how alarmed they were the fact that I had Lynch syndrome. And so I highlighted some of the mutations that I have. And I keep referring to that because it's been a life-saving piece for me.
Okay, wow. I mean, this is just very enlightening. So with all that's going on, it's some pretty heavy things that you have that's happened in your journey. what do you do that's kind of for fun? I still have that picture up. Let me put that back.
Wow. You know what? I am so super blessed to have a group of friends that we come together once a month to hang out and enjoy each other's company. We celebrate birthdays, milestones, and just getting together and just not taking life for granted, because it just can be taken away in a flash. And so when we see each other, like we probably will this evening or so, to celebrate a birthday, I'm always excited to see them and share with them a little special gift or something, because life is just too short sometimes.
Wow. I'm so impressed. Now I see motorcycles in my notes over here. Let's
Yeah,
talk- you didn't talk about that though. So tell me, I
did
had
not.
a note about a motorcycle. What is that about?
Now
Is it a
this one
bucket
here
list?
is a conference that I went to just this year. It's called the NRG, which is the oncology conference. And
Okay.
again, this is people don't even realize, just the average person like yourself or myself, we can attend these conferences and be
Anybody can
a part
attend
of it.
these
You
conferences. Is
really
that right?
can. And the thing of it is, you can. And then, like I said, my thing was I wanted to attend for free. So I look for scholarships that allow you to attend as a patient. And
Oh,
so you may be turned down once or twice, but this is where the power again of persistence pays,
mm,
because I'm telling you, this is the cuff of where all this major information and changes that are and treatments that are taking place. And as people of color, we're being left behind because no one's telling and sharing this information with us. And so my goal is to bring that information back to our community and share it with as many people as I can on any platform that I basically can as well. And yes, I thought after I did my first round of chemotherapy that I was this superhuman person, and I signed up at the local DMV to get my motorcycle license and rode a motorcycle for a while. So,
how
um,
was that experience for
you
you?
know what? I'm gonna tell you, I totally get why men do it. It was the sense of freedom and the wind in your hair, as they say, or whatever it is. And it just did something for my psyche. It made me realize that I could do anything, and don't put a time frame on it, because none of us know when that day or hour is, but
That's right.
enjoy every second that you do have. And um, as we talked about earlier, that favorite quote of mine that goes back to James Baldwin, when he says, "Not everything that is faced can be changed, but nothing can be changed until it's faced."
Yes.
I faced it.
I'm gonna
And
put that
so
quote up again. Yeah, I think, and I
I
see
wanted to
Kish
change
Lamore Moody. She's a survivor and thriver of cancer, and is just kicking it in the head. And I'm so proud of you. Thank you. And she's actually
it.
like, I think, elementary school childhood person that I grew up with in Newport News, Virginia, and to this day, many years later, I know I'm 53. I don't want to yell your age out,
Stop.
but Kish, but I'm 53. To still be connected in any regard, I'm just so grateful for how God allows people to still connect through social
I
media. So
I
thank you for
love
being
that.
here, Kish.
No, I love that. And thank you again. This has just been a true honor. And I'd be remiss to say, for those who have, of course, suffered breast cancer, that October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. And if you don't know where to turn, there's organizations out there that can help you when you're in need.
Well, I want to put your contact information up again. And then ultimately, as we get ready to close out, I'll have a closing comment from you. Let people know how they can stay connected with you one more time.
Please stay connected with me through Instagram, Facebook. On Facebook, I'm Wenora Farrell hyphenated Johnson. And I'm on LinkedIn at Wenora Johnson. So please feel free to reach out to me, ask me questions. If I can assist you in any kind of way, I'm happy to do so.
Absolutely. And listen, everybody, the only way I see lots of comments still. Oh, she said I'm 53 too. I'm 53 too. Yeah, I already know that, Kish, because I remember you from back in the day, and you were literally one of my close friends. I love you, actually. And I love your story. She says she loves your story. She
Oh,
loves
thank
your
you.
story.
Full
Okay.
clarity. I'm 57. So.
You look
Okay.
amazing, and you're
50s
here to
are
tell
the
your
new
story.
30s. So
Listen, everybody, I want to also thank Diana Satchel, who sent in a contribution yesterday. Thank you, Dr. Joe D. Bear, who is always so supportive of the Kim Jacobs Show as well. If you want to show your ongoing support to the Kim Jacobs Show, take a moment today when you're thinking about it right now. Go, okay, anyway, sometimes when you put it on the back burner, you don't get to it, right? And yesterday I was sharing with somebody, I said, when we're supporting different broadcasts and you get the different cloths and things where they pray over them, I pray for people all the time. I was up at 4:00 this morning praying for somebody. I'm going to pray for you automatically. Okay. Whether you send me a donation or not, I'll pray for the studio audience. And I love you all and I appreciate you. And for my guests and anyone that I ever encounter, I just pray for the world because I want everybody to be blessed. But show your ongoing support to the Kim Jacobs Show and his Cash App, $ Kim Jacobs Inc. For the audio podcast listeners, paypal.me/Kim Jacobs Inc. or Venmo. And that's at the Kim Jacobs Show. You can also become a Patreon member, and you can also sign up with over at our YouTube channel, and you get some gaming with me. One of my family members and friends, they say I'm a whole mood in my own self, the Kim mood, whatever that means from a teenage perspective. But I know how to have fun and do the gaming and all of that, and send you the videos that's behind the scenes. So y'all can sign up and be a part of any of these things that we offer here on the Kim Jacobs Show. I want to take a moment to acknowledge our episode sponsors, and you get your final comment ready over there with Nora. That's what I'm coming to you for next. Sponsor today, this episode was sponsored by attorney Charles Everidge with Hunter Everidge Law Firm. They are in the Carolinas area. They're also in the Alabama and the Richmond, Virginia area. You can reach them at 704-457-5000, 704-457-5000. Dealing with personal injury, workers' compensation, wrongful death of a loved one, make sure you reach out to them and let them know the Kim Jacobs Show sent you their way. And if you are booking travel of any sort, make sure you go and visit kimjacobs.intellitravel.com before you make your final destination and travel plans. Greatly appreciate you using that site in place of some of the others that you may currently use. And there's a price match guarantee. Today's sponsor with the coffee that you saw was vproducts.store, vproducts.store. And everyone's loving that mushroom infused coffee for whatever's in there. People are calling and texting and ranting and raving about vproducts.store. They also have regular black coffee as well. So get your coffee experience. And a final thing I'll tell you guys is that November 2nd, we are starting a new training class of a group of 5 individuals learning how to create your own show from scratch. If you're interested in having a virtual streaming show and you want to know how to do it universally, where it's audio, video, and you're able to stream it different places and different countries, make sure you visit me, reach out to me personally, and I'll give you the pricing for our upcoming class that starts November 2nd. And my program is endorsed with Les Brown, international motivational speaker. And I also do offer one-on-one. Give us your closing comment, Wenora.
Well, my closing comment comes in the form of a quote from Maya Angelou. And it says, "Do the best you can until you know better. Then when you know better, you do better."
Drop the mic, everyone. Have a great rest of your day. Thank you, Wenora, for being here. I'll see you backstage.
Thank you.
Have a great one, everybody. I love you all. Wow. Thank you for tuning in to today's episode of the Kim Jacobs Show and for being in the virtual studio audience. Your presence truly does make a difference, and I look